Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be learning about animation in Clo3D. There are a ton of different programs you can be using to animate, most of them outside of the platform, so we're just going to stay in Clo and do some quick and easy movement. So why don't we start off by loading up a garment and an avatar. I'm going to load up Mia, and we're actually going to load some things from the modular library because we haven't used that a ton yet. So I've got Mia here. Our modular library is over on the left-hand side. I'm going to open up a button down. We can add in the individual pieces, a front, a back. It's going a little slow today. Sleeves, a collar, and cuffs. When you load it, it's not going to be perfectly on her, so you're just going to want to simulate by pressing that space bar or hitting this arrow, just because it's not lined up perfectly. Also going to add some bottoms. We'll add some trousers, front, back, waistband. Easy. All right, now I always like to drag these off to the side so that they aren't right on top of each other and so we can keep track of what's going on. Again, you're going to simulate once your garments have been added. If you have a lot of collision like I do here, you can wait for it to resolve or you can change the layer of your garments. So I'm going to make all of my shirt layer 1 in my property editor so that it will always try to layer on top of the pants, trousers. Okay, if you don't want to see this green in your 3D window, you're just going to hit Show Hide Color, Hide All. And now there are a few things I want to do to clean up this file. First off, the collar is flipped upside down, so we're going to flip that normal. I'm also going to view this as a thick textured surface so that it looks like the right side of the fabric on both sides. I'm not going to take the time to do like a double layer collar right now. And I'm also going to strengthen these so that they act a little bit more like collars. I'm going to strengthen the cuffs as well. And you don't see this happening because I've turned off the colors. But if I turn it back on, you can see that. I'm also going to stitch this center front closed because from experience, I know that it will get a little wonky while walking. I'm just gonna make sure that these are perfect. There we go. There we go. All right, I'm gonna hit simulate. A few more things I'm gonna do to clean up my file. I'm going to turn off my internal lines and my baselines so you don't have to see those purple and red lines anymore. And I can see that my button is a little bit hidden in this placket right now. So I'm using my button adjuster and I'm gonna pull it out and make sure that it just renders in the right spot. Great. Okay, what I'm going to do now is change out the fabric just so we can look at how a real fabric would act. In my library, I'm going to fabric and I'm going to look for cotton, and let's see, I'm going to go down here and we'll do a poplin for the top and let's do a twill for the bottom. So I'm going to apply these, get a poplin on top and we've got twill on the bottom. Let's simulate again. There we go. You can make any adjustments you want as you go. Why don't we just recolor these a little bit so that we can so that we make sure we remember how. If you want to change the color of the twill, you're just going to go into the color and let's just make it a slightly darker gray. And there you go. All right. Okay. So what we want to do now is change all the settings of this so that the particle distance is a bit lower than like the 20 that is standard. That's because as she's walking and moving, the computer needs more information to render the fabric to look good. So we're going to make sure that everything is set to at least 10. You can go down to 5. That would honestly be ideal. But if your computer isn't working very well, it will take a lot of processing power and be a bit challenging. So I'd say 10 is a good happy medium. All right, what we're going to do now is go into animation. To do that, you click on this tab up here, go to animation editor. I'm going to move my face out of the way. And you have this bar that pops up down here at the bottom. And this is where you're going to do all of your edits. So now we have her in a pose. We need to load a motion for her to do. Clo already has some integrated, so we're going to find these in here. Under Avatar, Female, there's a folder here we haven't gone into called Motion. So I'm going to just load up walking. You're going to hit OK. And now our avatar has actually moved because she's going to be walking from over here to the front and then off to the side again. I only know that because I've seen it before. Basically, here I'm gonna move her around. This is the motion that she is going to do. Okay, and let's see if we can go all the way to the end, if she goes all the way off. Okay, so our full frame is 300. You can see that number down here. We want to make sure our end frame is also at 300 so it captures all of that movement. If it's only like 100, it'll stop the pose, it'll stop the motion right here. Okay, now obviously you'll notice that the clothes are not walking with her yet. And you can also see it in the 2D window. You can see the avatar moving behind the patterns, which is cool. So if you want to get her assigned to this walk, you need to basically do exactly that. You need to assign it. Before we actually do that, this is the button you're going to use here. We need to change the simulation quality from custom to animation. If you use the normal, it's going to just, like, clothes will be really bouncy and it won't look very good. We're going to do an example of that just to see. So let's hit record and you'll see that the fabric moves really like oddly. It's going to bounce on her a lot when she's walking and billow, and like it just doesn't look good or right. It's not in the right simulation mode. So we're going to undo that, put her back to normal, and we're going to go to animation stable for rendering. Okay. There are also all of these settings that you can look at over here. You can change gravity, you can change everything. I usually don't actually change anything. I'm just letting you know that it's there if you want to. So we're going to go ahead and hit record with our animation stable quality. It's going to look a lot better. It's also going to take quite a lot longer. This process goes really slowly because it's capturing all of the information for the recording. So this will take a while. I'll pause here for a sec and then we'll come back when it's done and we can... Okay, so animation is saving right now. What you can do after it's rendered once is you can hit the play button and just double check and make sure that it all looks good. There aren't buttons flying anywhere, your garments aren't falling off of the body. That does happen sometimes, and if it does, it usually means you have to like tack the garments onto the avatar, or maybe shrink your waistband or make it stronger or something like that. I do know that it happens semi-frequently. But our animation looks good so far. Now there are a couple of considerations. One is that this camera is just stable. It's right in the front. It's not really moving around or being very dynamic. There are a few camera angles that are already set up in Clo called camera motion. It's in the same folder that we were just in, avatar, female, motion. There's another folder here called camera motion. So if you load up the walking file, now this camera is going to follow the garment as it goes through this motion. What you can do is turn on this lovely little camera icon. Uh-oh, my garment just went away. Oh, there we go. It just zoomed in. And this will show you exactly what's happening. So what we can do is press play and look and watch while she's walking. You can see what the camera is doing, which is pretty cool. And it's already set up. You don't really have to be doing much of anything. It's tracking with her. Great. You can also turn on this button here, which is the show camera path, and it'll show you what the camera is actually doing. And you can also move these points. If you don't like something, like you can change where this camera is coming from. You can change what it's pointed at. There's a lot you can do. With this one, it's pretty much optimized for what we have going on, so I'm not going to do too much. The last thing I'm going to point out is that you can actually add a background. You can add a scene into this. Let's see, where is she? Zoom out, zoom in. I can't find my... If you go down to stage, there are all of these ones that are already preset. This one is actually like a catwalk, so why don't we try looking at that and see what happens. We're going to add it to our window. There we go. All right. And so now it has it set up so that she's going to walk out of this catwalk, which is cool. So this is a 3D space that we've added in. I'm going to open up my Finder window again so we can see. I'm going to turn off the cameras. And we're just going to press play and watch what happens. And look at that, it's perfectly set up for this lovely catwalk. The lighting is a little like funky. We might want to change some of that. But for right now, like for getting a very quick and easy animation together, I think that this is great. All right, so once you have something you like, which I think we like this looks good to me, we are going to go to File, Video Capture, Animation. All of this up to this point has just been preparing the file. You haven't actually been like recording anything, even though it says record over here. So here you can choose what size you want your file. You can choose how many pixels. I find that the more pixels, the better. Full screen. Let's try doing that. And we're going to hit record. It's going to go again step by step, kind of slow. I still have the ground grid turned on, and you could just see it in the walkway. You can turn that off. All right, and once it's done, that was a 10-second animation, you're gonna hit stop, and you can play and see what it looks like here. It looks kind of fuzzy right now, but once you save it, it usually looks a little bit better. So let's hit save. Then you can find it in your window. Trying to open it too quickly, it's not done yet. There we go. There we go, look at that. Again, there are a couple of things I would still change, but for a quick and dirty animation, this is great. All right, so yeah, I think those are the basics. If you have any other questions, let me know and we can go from. But I hope you enjoy, and I hope you can get a nice quick animation going.